Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cutting Edge Consciousness in Business. My name is Daniel Rechnitzer, and I'm one of the founders, along with my wife, of a company called Universal Intelligence. And it's an absolute privilege to be sharing with you the breakthroughs that we've experienced harnessing consciousness in our business life. Now, this stems back a long time ago, to when I was very young, in fact. And I remember my father saying to me, I was around the age of 4 or 5, and he was talking to me about ideas, accessing the next big idea. And he said to me something profound, and he didn't realize how profound it was at the time, but it's really stayed with me till this very day. And he said to me, ideas don't come from us, but they come through us. And in that moment, I got a sense of the human brain being more akin to an antenna, bringing frequencies or ideas in rather than being generated just from our thinking mind. And since that very day, I've experienced a profound journey learning the science or the physics behind what makes that possible. So I'd like to start off a little bit about sharing what this journey has involved and what does this mean in terms of you in your business and in terms of cutting edge consciousness. So let me fast track to a time in my mid-20s where I was teaching marketing. I would get up in front of large groups of people to share the best possible marketing strategies. But then something unusual started happening, something quite extraordinary, in fact. As people would raise their hand and ask me questions, answers would come to me, and not answers from conventional marketing theory or marketing knowledge or nous. It was answers that no one else would know. It related specifically to their business. It was as if I was tapping in to the consciousness of their business. And the answers that were coming to me, it would almost shock me in the moment. How do you know that? How can you say that? They were so specific, and they were pinpointing things that the owners didn't even know. But when you said it, the lights all came on for the owner. It was this profound moment. And the more marketing workshops I taught and the more I trusted in this ability, the more it would come through. So this led me to an exploration of where were these insights coming from? How was I able to know the finest details about this business? What was holding them back? And what would free that business up for massive growth? How was I able to tap into that? So this journey led to the very business we have now called Universal Intelligence. And what we've come to understand is that we exist in a sea of intelligent matter, that we perceive our thoughts to be located just within ourselves. But in truth, we are surrounded by these thought frequencies. Quantum physicists can call that the unified field or the quantum field. But what we've come to call it and understand it to be is a larger brain that we are part of. We're familiar with the conscious mind. We're familiar with the subconscious mind. But what we're referring to here is much larger. The mind is not localized to within us, but it is infinite. It is the universe that surrounds us. And we've come to call that in many occasions the superconscious mind. So if you can imagine consciousness exists within our physical anatomy, we can put awareness on our big toe, or in our hand, we can bring awareness. We can feel. All you need to do is stub your toe and you have awareness in your toe. We have awareness or consciousness throughout our body. But there's been a misunderstanding. The misunderstanding is that consciousness only exists within our body. And our journey, which has very much been a journey of enlightenment, has been the unveiling of a larger truth. And the larger truth is that consciousness is everywhere and is everything. So what does this mean? Because it has profound implications to every aspect of your life. In particular, our topic today, in business. So consciousness, if you can imagine, we've all heard Einstein and various other scientists referring to things that everything is energy. Well, we've seen a little bit deeper than that. In terms of, instead of seeing everything as energy, start to comprehend that there's a deeper truth. The truth is energy is intelligent matter. Thought. Everything around us is thought energy. Thought is self-aware, intelligent energy. Your cells know to hear when you cut. Everything in your body knows, it has a knowing. We look at nature and we see a knowing. Birds know where to migrate. The whales know where to migrate. A spider knows exactly the principles of engineering to create the perfect web that can withstand strong winds and various forces. So there is a knowing in nature. So the superconscious mind, said another way, is really the intelligence of nature. Now, needless to say, all we have to do is look around and we can see that that intelligence is beyond what most human beings have A, displayed, or B, can comprehend. Everywhere we look is this incredible harmony, these ecosystems, the artwork, the designs in nature, the functioning of the human body. It is a miracle. So just imagine for a second if you could tap in to that very intelligence to run your business. If you could access that sublime knowing to make decisions in your business. Well, the great news is that's exactly what we're here to teach you. And that's exactly what the superconscious mind is. The superconscious mind, or as we call it often, is universal intelligence. It's a field of intelligence that we are connected to. And the brain is more akin to a wireless antenna or wireless internet. So we have access to information beyond what we know within ourselves. And this is where our intuition comes from. But more importantly, in this context, it's where the next big ideas come from. All those incredible ideas, the inventions, the websites, the Googles, all of these ideas come from within. They're inspired. Inspiration, they come from our intuition. So what I would really like to focus on is how do we nurture this? What becomes available? And demonstrate this amazing capability. Now, as I said, this goes back for me about 15, 16, or even 17 years now of nurturing this. So as we learned, as I got to witness in the marketing workshops, these ideas were coming to me, I set about this journey of really learning to trust that ability. And the more I trusted within that ability, the more it grew and became a very powerful ally to me. So much so that it wasn't just an insight or a moment of inspiration. It became an actual dialogue. So to the point where if I wanted to make a decision in business, I wouldn't be sitting there in meditation. I could simply ask a question and the answer would come in. How do I grow this business? What decision is the best decision to make here? And the answer would come in and we'd feel it in multitude of ways, which I'll share shortly. So the superconscious mind is this limitless intelligence. It's where Einstein got his genius from. It's where Mozart derived his inspiration from. Da Vinci, his inventions. And our role is to make this universal intelligence available to you, available to everyone. Let's share why this is so important. To date, the bulk of our decisions are coming from our mind, within our own reality. Now, imagine yourself as a universe. Now, this universe has the potential for limitless intelligence, for pure genius. But many of us were not told or raised with that knowing. Now, how many of you were told since you were a child that you are a genius, that you have the universe within you and the sum total of that intelligence available? Now, I wasn't told that. Despite my father sharing how the mind works, I was actually shown quite the opposite. Now, what happens is, as we navigate our way through life from being in the womb to being born and being kids, we adopt concepts about ourselves. We adopt belief systems about what's possible, where we're skilled, where we're not skilled, where we're lucky, where we're not. Are we destined for success or are we destined for failure? Am I capable at this or am I incompetent at this? By the time we're in our adult age, we are filled to the brim with identity traits. I'm not good at money, but I'm good at this. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy of this. I'm not worthy of that. I always fail at this. When the time comes to making a deal, I always screw it up. Life is a disappointment. I'm never successful at anything. To make money is going to sacrifice my relationship with my partner or with my kids. There's this plethora of belief systems. Now, the challenge with that is the majority of our decisions are coming from our belief systems. Now, the belief systems were actually made in error. So any of these notions that I'm not enough, not good enough, not worthy, they're actually not the truth. So to make a decision about business, about what's possible, from the belief I'm going to be rejected, I'm only worth $100,000 a year instead of $1 million a year, to make a decision from a space of our belief systems perpetuates the experience of our belief. So what does that mean? If you were to look at every single experience that you are having in life, how much money you have, the quality of your relationship with your partner, the quality of your relationship with your kids, how fast success occurs in your business or how long it takes, every single experience, if you were to map that, what you would actually see is a perfect correlation between every single experience and every belief that you have. In short, your life is a complete reflection of every belief that you're holding within here. But these aren't necessarily beliefs you're conscious of. These are beliefs in the subconscious that you're carrying around, and you've been carrying many of them since you're a child. So on this journey of universal intelligence, we got to see that there was this direct correlation between the success of the business and the inner reality. Now, many of you know this, that our outer universe is a reflection of our inner universe. But there's more to it. And this is where we get to something very interesting, which I like to call the science of ideas. Many of us have this belief that ideas just hit and there's no actual rhyme or reason behind that. Some people are lucky, some people are not. That's not the truth. Everything in this universe has laws of physics behind it. And coming up with the next big idea or accessing the best decision to make in your business, having an expanded vision or perspective of where your business can go and what's possible, there's a physics behind it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about that. And what's pivotal to start recognizing as we learn to access this universal intelligence, it also comes down to our belief system. So let's bring this all together. Our outer reality is being a mirror reflection of the inner reality, okay? Now, what that means is how much of this universal intelligence we're able to bring in is being driven by what we believe. Now, I'll share a very quick story with you. We kept experiencing in business that people would always pay us at the very last minute. It would be the 11th hour and we were waiting and waiting for that bill, that check to come in, and we'd be stressed off our brain, and then finally it would come in. Until one day we went in using the tools and abilities that we teach, and we teach how to go into the subconscious mind. We went into the subconscious mind, and there was this belief there. And the belief that showed up that was causing that very experience was everything works out in the end. Now, that belief might serve us when we're young, but many of these beliefs kind of wear thin as we get older, and they stop working for us and start working against us. So we got to see that this one belief was actually creating a very undesirable experience. Now, as we shifted that belief, as we teach people how, then our reality mirrored the new truth. The truth was that we are deserving and worthy of success now. Now, it's not an affirmation. I'm not talking about affirmations. We don't deal with affirmations. We deal with truth. Truth is what integrates. Okay? Truth is what rewires your reality. So as we integrated this new level of truth, our reality showed that up. And it was quite a miracle. So there's this amazing creative energy that we all have to manifest or carve out our reality simply by working on the inner reality. Now, as we kept moving through this, we started to see that we could very much affect not only the type of clients that were coming in, the amount of money that was coming in, but what was really pleasing to me was we could affect the kind of ideas that were coming to us. So the more we worked in our inner reality at the subconscious level, and we would clear one belief after the other, and there are all kinds of beliefs. I'll give you some examples that were some very key ones where we cannot have spirituality and wealth. That just doesn't go together. You know, that's a very common societal belief, and that's why you see many health practitioners and spiritual practitioners without money, because that's societal belief. But you then need to look at people like Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay, and they don't carry that belief, so they have a different reality. So it's not the truth. So we had many limiting beliefs that were holding us back in terms of not only our level of success, but also our level of fulfillment. Now you can make lots of money and be completely unfulfilled, and what's the point of that? So we had to work on what's our truth in terms of how do we access fulfillment, what's true and purposeful for us. So as we became clearer of these limiting beliefs within ourselves, within our subconscious mind, a whole new universe of possibilities began to open up. Because what happens is we have this superconscious mind that is your intuition, call it the higher consciousness or your true self. That is what we call truth. Now, the more truth that we have prevalent in our body, the healthier our body, the more truth we have prevalent in our relationship, the healthier and more flourishing our relationship. But the same applies to business. Truth is what works. And the more truth we have in our business, the easier the business grows, the more it flourishes. There's not this constant pushing uphill battle all the time. So as we started to shift these limiting beliefs, more truth becomes available. That authentic self, that true self begins to show and begins to radiate. Now that authentic self, your true self, is limitless and is the limitless intelligence that is the superconscious mind. Now, as you allow more of that in, this antenna for universal intelligence, instead of being kind of small, starts opening up. So you can allow in a far greater breadth and depth of information for your business. Now, as I said earlier, you also start opening up a whole new level of ideas. So if you go back 5 years, I was able to access ideas that might make $100,000. And then the more we shifted, the more we grew, I became to be able to access ideas that are worth millions of dollars. So the more we clear within ourselves, the more of the self-doubt, the self-hate, which are the limiting beliefs, and don't kid yourself, there's plenty of them, the more we're able to clear that away, and there's nothing wrong with us for having that. Don't go and judge yourself. That's the life that we've chosen to experience. The more we're able to shift that, the more we're expanding into that infinite self. And that's really when the fun begins, because whereas before we kind of had inspiration kind of sporadically, it was like the worst kind of dial-up internet. But the more we nurtured and cultivated this access to universal intelligence, we went from dial-up access, now we're into complete cable access. So universal intelligence is now part of who we are. The way the brain was designed is not that intuition is this thing on the side, that this inspiration is just something that randomly happens. And for those of you who meditate, that only happens in meditation. No, the brain was designed to be harnessing these fields of intelligence permanently, constantly, that it's always on tap. Now, why did the universe, this intelligence, design us this way? There's a couple of key reasons. The first one is that it helps us to make the right decisions. Now, no point laboring this point. All you need to do is look outside and you can see all the destructive decisions humanity has made, the majority of which have come from business decisions, decisions around making money and success and growing a business. When we come from our mind, our own life experience, we're coming from a very confined perspective of what's possible and how our universe works and about success. Predominantly, we're coming from our insecurities and inadequacies. We're coming from fear. Now, if we come from that fear space, if we come from what's not true, we then create more of what's not true. If we make a decision from an error, we create more errors. We're chopping down more trees, we're interfering with our food, we're polluting the air that we breathe. We are making insane decisions. Now, they're all coming from the belief systems, the fear. If we move that away and we start coming from universal intelligence, not only do we make sublime decisions, but we start making decisions that add to us. They don't take away our health. I mean, there's countless business people that have spent their entire health trying to create wealth, and now they're having to spend all their wealth trying to regain their health. Now that's insane, right? And that's not the intention of being human. The intention of being human is to access this collective intelligence that is available to us so that we can create success, so that we can thrive and flourish harmoniously. By accessing universal intelligence, we're tapping into the principles of nature. Nature thrives. Nature is harmonious, and it keeps growing and it keeps expanding. So if there's a belief or feeling within you that says, well, if I go to those principles of nature, then I'm not going to make enough money, it's completely not true. It's completely the opposite, in fact. And this is the irony. When we start accessing universal intelligence, instead of coming from this small mind, which is our limited life experience, we're accessing the sum total of the intelligence of our universe. Now, the beautiful thing about that is, it is the source of the next big idea. So the greatest ideas are in universal intelligence. The next wonderful thing about tapping into universal intelligence is that it's not bound in the here and now, whereas our mind only can see what is happening here and now. When we tap into universal intelligence, we're moving out of the perspective of time. Now, this is very advanced physics, but this is how our universe works. We are experiencing linear time because that's what we're used to and that's what we're conditioned to perceive. But we're not restricted to that. And that's another thing that we teach at UI, is how to see without time. When we tap into universal intelligence, the information, the insights, the guidance that we receive is seeing things across time, present into the future. So it can see, if you make this decision, this is the outcome. But if you make this decision, that's the outcome. That's far more desirable. So your intuition is always moving across time. That's how you get the answers. That's how it is all-knowing. So when we learn to bring in universal intelligence, it is this incredible strategic advantage because it is without limitation. The information is taking into consideration a whole set of variables of what is going to be the best possible future outcome. And let's make that decision, because that decision leads to the best outcome. But even more than that, the intelligence is factoring in things the human brain cannot factor simultaneously. It is factoring in A, what the best outcome is in terms of the destination. It is factoring in what is the best path. So what are you going to grow from? What lessons are you going to acquire along the way? It's factoring in what is going to be the least impactful on your health and well-being, what is going to be the least impactful on your family and your children, your relationships, and how is that going to intersect with all the other amazing inspirations that are coming through to other people in business? How is that all going to intersect together? So the universal intelligence is meant to be our default intelligence, not an outside intelligence. So this is why we need to evolve. And the more we clear these limiting beliefs, the more we ascend in our level of consciousness to access these universal principles, to access ideas that are far beyond anything that we would create solely from the confines of our mind. So let's discuss the physics behind these incredible abilities. So try for a moment to imagine your mind, your brain, as a radio dial, okay? That frequency dial that moves you from one frequency, one station to the next. This is very key because what happens is that dial is dictating what experiences we can let in and what experiences we can't. So let's look at it in terms of the success in our business. Our belief systems that we're carrying, that we've been carrying for a long time, are actually predetermining our frequency. So most of these belief systems are centered around a low frequency, a frequency of self-doubt. Now what happens is the more of this negative frequency that we're carrying around, even though it's subconscious to us, it's still very much dominating our thoughts. Well, frequencies attract other like frequencies. So what we need to understand is that life, all the experiences that keep showing up, are mirroring back the very frequencies that we're holding on to. Say, for example, we have a belief system of people in business can't be trusted. Now, if we believe that because that was passed down from mum and dad or various other experiences, if we hold that here, it becomes like a cookie cutter, which means the only experience that can come into our life experience is that which matches people can't be trusted. And this is why we see this repetitive pattern, life experiences showing up one after the other, the same thing over again. Because until we change this frequency that is our reality, we're going to keep getting the same experience. So in order to start bringing in people or attracting in business opportunities where people can be trusted, we need to shift that and identify not with what's not true, but identify with our truth around that, which is a great opposite from what we believe. So the beliefs, the frequency are attracting the experiences, but also the belief systems that we're carrying is dictating how much of universal intelligence that we're able to draw upon. Now, universal intelligence is represented already within you, okay? It's already your true nature. But the belief systems create this shroud of self-doubt, and self-doubt disconnects us from our true self. Our true self being universal intelligence. As we learn to elevate beyond our self-doubt, these limiting beliefs, as we turn this dial to higher frequencies. And the fastest way to do that, or one of the fastest ways to do that, is to clear the limiting beliefs. We naturally ascend in frequency. So as that radio dial, we're effectively turning it and moving up. Now, the higher we go in terms of frequency, the more we attract in like frequency experiences and like frequency ideas. So for those of you who are looking for the next big idea for your business, well, we don't achieve it, we don't bring it in by oscillating at that lower frequency of nothing ever works for us, I'm destined for failure, everybody is creative but me. Those frequencies repel those ideas. There's an actual physics behind that, because the frequencies that actually are holistically successful operate at a particular frequency. But if you don't match that frequency in terms of your space, your beingness, your energy, you can't access that. They're not the kind of ideas that you bring in. Conversely, for those of you who have ever experienced when you get depressed or angry or resentful, it's like this, you can't stop thinking about anything other than something that angers you. This is one angry thought after the next, after the next. And that's a scientific reason behind that. And that is because we're holding this space of we're angry, we're resentful. And that forms up a magnet that brings in only those thoughts and therefore only those experiences at that level. So accessing universal intelligence is very much a byproduct of learning to see yourself as more, as learning to transcend all the self-doubt. Now, although this might sound airy-fairy and all woo-woo, we really need to be focusing on self-love. And the irony behind this, it's one of those things that we almost avoid self-love. But self-love is the direct connection to universal intelligence. And that's exactly what we can teach you how to bring into your space. The more we are cultivating and self-love and moving away from that self-hate, the more we bring into this frequency of UI, because UI is the frequency of self-love. So if we want to access universal intelligence, we need to match that. And this is why so many people that practice spirituality, meditation, and various other modalities have this ongoing struggle. Well, I've read all the books, I've listened to all the CDs, but I can't seem to connect for myself. And it's because we're still oscillating in the self-doubt, what we call this ego. Now, the physics behind accessing the next big idea for your business is by tapping into universal intelligence, is by allowing that true self to shine. The beautiful thing to realize is that you are destined for success. Whether you let it in this lifetime or not is going to be up to you. But that success is already within you. It just currently happens to be shrouded by negativity. It's kind of like driving in a car, having a windscreen covered in mud, and you're trying to peer through it. You're trying to see where you should go, where you shouldn't, but you're looking through this filter of mud. The more we shift that mud, the more this true self, a higher consciousness, is allowed to flourish. Now that is your best friend. It's more than that. It is the most incredible and profound business coach you will ever have. And it's already within you. And this is what we're going to teach you how to access. We have this beautiful program called the All-Knowing Entrepreneur. And that is what that program is about, tapping into that inner, all-knowing business coach. So if that's the access to UI, what can we start doing in the meantime to start cultivating the right space to connect directly into that all-knowing space? Well, I'm going to give you a few tips and hints. But the true fast track is in learning the program that we have on offer. But the tips and hints to begin with are as follows. Your brain has two hemispheres to it, and many of you already know this. And there's been much talk about being right hemisphered or left hemisphered or whatever. But that's not the focal point. The focal point is being what we call whole-brained. When we go into whole brain space, when both hemispheres connect together, become one, well, the universe opens up to us. And that's how the brain was designed. In a space of self-doubt, we oscillate one to the other, but it's disconnected. Now, you would have seen this many times. This universe has this beautiful ongoing theme of two becoming one. The same in our body. When the brain connects, we start accessing universal intelligence instead of just our mind. It's like going from a hard drive in a computer, plugging in the blue cable or Wi-Fi, and connecting to universal intelligence. What makes that connection happen is what we call self-belief or self-love. That's the frequency that connects. We as human beings have been engineered to bring love and self-belief onto this earth. We're not here to keep bringing hate and destruction. And that is why we find that our body starts deteriorating when we start doubting ourselves, when we start hating ourselves or hating life, because that's not being reinforced. The body is to reinforce what is healthy and what works and what is truth. And what is truth is that self-belief. So when we're in a space of self-belief, we start elevating higher and higher in our frequency. That radio dial is starting to connect to much more profound levels of intelligence. So some of the biggest reasons we struggle in connecting is as follows. Number one, we doubt ourselves. We have this belief that everyone else knows more than me. Everyone else is the expert. I need to read all their books. I need to listen to everything they say, and I need to follow all their strategies. Now, for most of you, coming from that space is actually completely disempowering you, because you're coming from, I don't know it, who am I? They're the expert. Now, the minute you do that, that whole brain just goes disconnect. So you are no longer connected to universal intelligence because you've said, I'm not the one with the answers. So your brain goes, okay, your brain will give you the experience that you asked for or that you believe in. And so you are then dependent on somebody else. But you'll find life is trying to show you, you are the expert. The answers do lie within. So the behavior to look outside yourself will not be rewarded. Whereas the experience of trusting and believing yourself, which is the very lessons that I've been going through to be here, is constantly rewarded with more and more clarity, more wisdom, and greater opportunity. So the first thing to stop doing is stop seeing that you are without answers and start integrating, holding it, that I have the answers within. And when I believe that, they will start showing up. Now, I spent, I want to say in a sense, wasted, but there were many lessons out of it. But I spent a lot of my life thinking everyone else has the right business strategy, everyone has the expertise, and I started following everyone else's strategy. And it got me nowhere, because in truth, that was what worked for them. That was their business strategy. And I sought advice from everyone. And I came to realize, if you're going to seek advice from anyone, let it be, how do I trust myself? How do I believe in myself to the point that I can access the answers for myself? And that was one of the most important realizations to me, because that flicked on the UI switch. So if you're someone who's constantly doubting yourself, it's time to move away from that. The next thing where is really creating, I guess, stagnation or disconnection for people is surrounding themselves with people who all have opinions, who are full of criticism, who constantly undermine you. If you're surrounding yourself with anyone like that, you need to ask yourself why. And you need to start figuring out, is this in my highest good? It's very likely not to be in your highest good. We've seen over the years countless experiences of people's success being stifled or completely ruined because, no, I need to keep that person in my life. It's my brother, it's my father, it's my best friend. And the number of successes the number of opportunities that come crumbling down because there is more concern for that person than there is for your own well-being and your own accomplishments and fulfillment and the well-being of your family. We see that constantly. But in the mind, it doesn't occur like that. It occurs like I'm doing the right thing by keeping them in my life. So just see if that's a pattern of yours as well. The next thing that really holds people back is the belief that this is going to take a long time. I've read this book and this journey and that person's journey, and they went through immense struggle. They went through bankruptcy, and this took years and years. Now, with many of us, it has taken years and years, but that doesn't mean it has to. All right? We didn't all have somebody who was an expert in universal intelligence guiding us, so we had to fumble our way in the dark. But that's not what today is. And as you learn to work, as you go through the journey of working with us, what we have on offer is the fast track. And my journey has been always asking, if I'm to teach somebody, what is the best way to teach people this? What is the fastest way? What is the easiest way? What is the way that's going to generate the best results soonest? That is what I tap into with universal intelligence. So the programs we've created are all along those lines. It doesn't take a long time. It's very fast. Now, how much you allow universal intelligence in to navigate your success is going to be up to you. But we'll teach you some very powerful ways to step out of the way to allow that sublime intelligence to show you the light. So where I'd like to go to next is to just talk a little bit about what becomes possible as we open ourselves up to this universal intelligence, to consciousness. How does that help our business? And we've got countless examples. In a nutshell, we need to make thousands of decisions in our business. Each decision will create a different outcome, some successful, some not, some the long way, some the short way. Universal intelligence doesn't just give you what is going to create the best outcome now. Universal intelligence gives you an answer based on countless variables that the human mind can't even conceive. UI spans time. So when you ask a question, what is the best decision to make? What is the best marketing strategy? What is the best way forward? Who is the best employee? UI is assessing, well, if you make this decision, this is the outcome in a year. If you make this decision, this is the outcome in a year. And you can even go longer. So UI is giving you the best answer over a whole span of time. It could be a year, it could be 10 years, whatever's relevant to that question. So UI is not based in the here and now, it's across all time. And that is one of the abilities we also teach in one of our programs, is to see without time. Time is a perspective that we're choosing to buy into at the moment. But the way the universe works is it's not based in linear time. Okay, that's just one perspective. So when we ask UI, it's saying, yes, that might be an idea now, but over a period of time, that's going to actually work against you. And there are countless examples. So when we come from the mind and the mind tends to come up with immediate solutions. Like, I know, let's come up with plastic bags. Let's come up with the combustion engine. Let's come up with a nuclear power plant. Let's chop down trees. These are all short-term solutions with horrific long-term consequences. But when we tap into pure consciousness to UI is nature, and nature is an equilibrium, it's harmony. So the answers that come through are A, what's going to lead to the greatest success, B, what's harmonious to your health and well-being, what's harmonious to the business, what's harmonious to your family, and what's harmonious to the environment. So you don't have to mentally check box, am I taking care of all these things? When you're coming from the universal intelligence space, they're the answers that you get. You're not going to come up with ideas that destroy your health. You're not going to come up with ideas that destroy the planet. And in fact, you're going to come up with ideas that are far more profitable than what mankind is used to thinking of. Because UI is an intelligence that put mankind here. And when you can tap into that level of intelligence, that is eons and eons of knowledge and wisdom from past to present to future, that you're going to create the best possible result every time. So UI has the answers. It has the answers on what are the next steps for your business. It has the answers on what do you need to clear within yourself to create greater opportunity. It has the answers for those of you who are wanting to work with other businesses too. So I'm going to demonstrate that in a moment. But it's important to mention as well, UI applies to every area of life. If you're looking at answers for your health and well-being, we tap into that. If you're looking at answers for how to support your children, we have answers for that. You have the answer to that. So when you learn and undertake UI, it's not just about how do I grow my business. That's just one of the applications. Universal intelligence will fast track and improve every area. And we've got countless stories. My wife having 2 natural pain-free births, to being able to heal people from terminal illnesses, to be able to fast track ourselves out of debt, to be able to grow our business, to be able to bring through ideas that we would never have let in, to be able to put ourselves in opportunities in life that there was no way we could have ever dreamt that we would be in these situations. UI sees you and your life far bigger than you currently see yourself. And that's one of the most magical things. So, accessing answers. I'd like to demonstrate some of the capabilities with UI that become very much part of our day-to-day life experience. When we have a decision to make in business, which is pretty much every day, gone are the days that we sit there and we mull over it and we agonize over it. Is this the right decision? Is it not? With universal intelligence, the right answers are available. We just need to what we call tune in. We bring it in. And I'd like to demonstrate this ability with some publicly known businesses. Now I could tap into our business, but I'd like to tap into something that's more meaningful and relevant to you. So what does this tapping in mean? So as I said earlier, your brain sees it as a radio antenna. By default, it's accustomed to tapping into your belief systems, your subconscious mind, your memory, your life experience. But that's just one of the radio stations it can oscillate between. We can tap into our superconscious mind and we can tap into the energy of a business. Now, ultimately, that's all one consciousness. So if we tap into the consciousness of a business, remember, energy is intelligent matter. Energy is self-aware. So we can connect with that energy and it can show us in an instant exactly what it needs to prosper. So instead of having to analyze a business or interview or interrogate the owners of the business to understand what the next step is from a marketing or business perspective, we can tap into it by working with universal intelligence. And this is where things get really interesting. This is cutting edge consciousness in business. The brain, as that radio, is exactly like plugging into the universal internet. I'm just going to demonstrate that with you. So the very first business that we're going to look at is one that we're all very familiar with. It's called Apple Computers. Now what I'm going to do is not rehearsed. I'm going to do that live with you. We do this in our workshops and you get to experience this. You all will receive your mentoring session as a result of this, your demonstration session, and you'll get to experience this firsthand related to your business. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to demonstrate on Apple. So what I do is I go into my superconscious space, if you like. And in a superconscious space, I'm moving beyond my own mind and I'm moving into a larger brain, a larger mind, which connects into all the consciousness that is, and in this case, Apple. So if I go into Apple and I connect into that space, I can receive directly into my thoughts, into my whole experience, exactly what that business needs. So I will narrate for you what I'm experiencing as I do this. So just bear with me as I get that connection. So as I experience that connection, everything starts to be a little bit more calmer within my body. Brainwaves kind of slow down. And I start getting the messages or information that there's this flurry. There's this flurry going on within Apple. And I can go deeper and say, what's all the flurry about? And it's showing me all the people within this organization hurrying towards somewhere. So, well, what's the hurry? So they're all trying to move the next products along. It's saying we need to innovate, 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 innovate. That is the only way to stay ahead of the competition. And the business is showing me this, not because it's got nothing better to talk about, but the business is showing me this because this is an issue. This is actually affecting their growth. That's why it's communicating it with me. So bringing in this energy, I can see what's the solution. And it's saying we need to shift from being product focused into being people focused. Right? Okay. So I can go deeper. The more questions I ask, the more I understand. And this is something you'll learn how to do with your business or with somebody else's if you're going to become the all-knowing mentor. So we go into this space again, and why people focused as opposed to business focused. And it says, number one, if we shift to being people focused into nurturing our people, into supporting them with their ideas, bringing out their genius, then we're gonna need half as less people. We can cut our HR bill in half because we no longer need so many people. Because instead of having 5 people or 10 people coming up with the ideas or coming up ways to implement it, one person can do that because they've been nurtured and cultivated in that ability. So we can definitely cut a huge amount of our expenses out of the business and still propel us forward at a greater velocity than before. The second thing that it's showing me, if we become people focused, then people are feeling that it's about them being in the organization. It's not about running to be the slave to something else. Then there's self-nurturing. Then that's when the real ideas start coming through. So we just tap back in and see, is there anything else that we need to know about becoming people focused? It says, yes, there's human intelligence that could be marketed and that Apple's not focusing on, because in their reality, we're a tech company, we're a product-based company. And it's saying you're missing millions of opportunities. The dollar figure is immense, but there's so many opportunities that it's missing because it's not focused on its human intelligence, the IP that these people can bring. Okay? So right there's an example. When we tap into universal intelligence, we can see in an instant exactly what a business needs. Now, if I'd gone into Apple, that would have taken me a month to just observe and witness and interview people to understand what's going on. And even if that took me less, even if that took me a week, that from a UI perspective took me 30 seconds. UI shows us things that to the naked eye are impossible to see, because we get to see that within a business is the reflection of the belief systems of its people. Okay? So let's do another example. Another organization that I thought of to share is AT&T. They're the ones on our cell phone. So I'm just going to demonstrate again, tapping into universal intelligence to see what a business needs. This is cutting edge consciousness, using the brain as this antenna. So just bear with me as I get a connection into that. So as I'm connecting into that, again, I feel nice and calm, but AT&T is showing me this, it's like a level of exhaustion. of showing me like a marathon runner who's just panting away. So immediately I can get a sense of the business. I go a bit deeper and say, what's that all about? And it's showing me we need to be everywhere. We need to be everyone. We need to be everything. And everyone's exhausted because of it. The resources are being drained. The people are fed up with it all. It's not working. Great. So I've got a now very clear picture of where we're going. So that's the non-truth. So where there's a non-truth, there's going to be a struggle. Now, the business has just shown me that that's the non-truth. So we can go back and reconnect into that and we can see the way forward. So let me just do that for a second. It's saying you can keep going, trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to be where all the competition is, but you're going to burn out. You're going to burn out resources and you're going to burn out people. The preferable way is to make this paradigm shift into being, not needing to be everything to everyone, but let's just be focused on the latest technology. That will have everyone, instead of trying to spread themselves thinly over everything, it will have people focused on what's actually important, what actually matters. And if I go a bit deeper, it's showing me that this is actually coming from one person. If we go up the chain, it says the one person at the leadership level, one of the key leadership levels, has this belief system that we need to be better, we need to beat people, we need to be there first, we need to be where they are, and we need to be better than where they are. And it's saying this one person's belief system is being filtered throughout the whole organization that is actually slowing the company down. They think, as would many of the shareholders, believe that this is critical to their success, but it's not. It's not a universal principle. What the universal intelligence is trying to communicate in here, the truth is that to focus on what matters slims the business, makes it efficient. Instead of being this overweight, exhausted marathon runner, it becomes a sprinter and just sprints to the key points. And that's far more efficient on its resources. And it's actually showing me that it will halve expenses again immensely, similar to Apple, but it'll also start branching out into more profitable areas that they can't quite see now because they've got eyes on what all the competition's doing, saying it's a very inefficient way to do business. So we can see then how UI can show us the inner workings of an organization, and that's taking a minute to look. If we take longer, you can imagine what shows up. But also you get to see that if the leader or you, the business owner, or the staff are holding certain belief systems, that's dictating the decision making. And the decision making is dictating the actions that are taken. And that's all creating the overall experience, success, or lack thereof in a business. So as a human, as a life experience is the mirror reflection of the human's belief system, the business is a reflection of the sum total of all the beliefs being held by everyone there, but especially the leadership, those who are making the decisions. So with universal intelligence, we can easily fast track the growth of a business, transforming a business or a nation or a community by focusing not on what are the marketing strategies needed, what are the budget cuts needed. No. What shifts do we need to make within the people? Because if the business is a reflection of the people, you want to make a shift, you start on the people. UI is the direct access to that. So not only does UI pinpoint the hidden variables that create the growth, the things that we couldn't see before that, UI shows us the fast track to propelling the business forward in an ecological way. Remember, UI is taking into consideration what is the best strategies forward for the business, for the people, and for the environment. UI is nature. Nature is this ecosystem. So it wants all of us to start abiding by the principles of nature. And that's really one of the big reasons why UI is so important in business. You want to look at consciousness in business. We'll start accessing consciousness so it can educate and align us to the rhythms of the universe, because that is where success comes from. Now, let's look at moving forward, because that is what this whole program is about. It's not being stuck in an action. It's not having more of the same of the past perpetuating itself. You've signed up to this program because you want a quantum leap. Now, here's how to access it. UI is the quantum leap. Because UI is seeing things far bigger than you can allow yourself to see, it will provide an access to the knowledge and the wisdom and the instructions on how to tap into those opportunities, how to bring those opportunities to fruition, and in a way that's not going to harm you, in a way that's going to fulfill you and add to your health. Gone are the days where we need to spend all our health creating wealth and then spend all our wealth bringing back our health. That is an old paradigm. With UI is this holistic intelligence that has us succeed on all levels all at once, simultaneously, so that one area of life is not being neglected as we pursue our business goals. So let me talk to you about the access to that. We have two key programs relating to business. The first one is called the All-Knowing Entrepreneur. This is where we start. The All-Knowing Entrepreneur gives you the tools and the abilities to tap in to the very intelligence of nature, the intelligence innate in every cell of your body. That intelligence is constantly trying to speak up, to show you the way, to guide you and navigate you the fastest route possible. That program, the All-Knowing Entrepreneur, connects you into that space on demand to access that genius, that inspiration on tap. So whenever you have a question, whenever you have a decision to make, you'll be able to access the best path for you and your business. The program also will take you into the depths of the subconscious mind. The more we clear out the subconscious mind, the more we bring in UI as our default intelligence. The more opportunities that we can attract, the greater the level of ideas that we can bring in. That next big idea can become yours as we learn to clear the past, the doubt, the fear, and the worry. As we shift that, we start bringing in the quantum shifts. Then we're going to take you into the energy of the business to communicate exactly to your business's consciousness, just as I've demonstrated with Apple and AT&T. This is where the answers lie on exactly what your business needs to flourish. It is a profound experience to actually be peaceful when working on your business, to access answers, just like your mind is connected to a Google, but bigger than Google. That's called the All-Knowing Entrepreneur. And we have a very special price of $9.95 if you be part of that with this program. To access that, you'll see a link below. We highly encourage you to take advantage of that, why that price is as low as it is. And what more important, what better skill could you possibly buy than access to all the answers, to an all-knowing intelligence that will steer you right every time. So say goodbye to not knowing and say goodbye to this trial and error approach to growing your business. It's time to be an all-knowing entrepreneur. Now, for those of you who want to take that further, for those of you who feel it is your calling to use universal intelligence to help other businesses, then talk to us about the all-knowing business mentor. And that is at a whole nother level, taking the business coach into the infinite realm. So on that note, it's been an absolute pleasure being able to share our journey with you. And this is, even though it's just been the tip of the iceberg, It's just been a privilege. So I thank you for listening, and I look forward to meeting you all personally and seeing you all soon. We'll see you at the All-Knowing Entrepreneur program. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.